The NBA playoffs are just around the corner, and frankly, I'm more excited for them than I've been in a while, not just because we have some awesome teams to watch this postseason, but because this regular season cannot end fast enough. Last week, while I was recording a podcast with my good buddy Luke Backman, link in the description by the way, we found ourselves each going on mini rants about what has gone wrong with the NBA this season, seemingly out of nowhere.
But I don't know, it feels like it's just been awful for the NBA, and now they're looking at expansion.
The commissioner has absolutely stood pat on all of it. I hate to invoke his name. Would this ever happen in David Stern's NBA, Luke? It absolutely wouldn't.
The reality is these frustrations have been simmering all season long and are beginning to boil over now. This has been an abject disaster of a regular season in the NBA. 10 teams have been tanking for a month now. 10! That's a third of the league, a third of the revenue, a third of the fan bases. Achilles injuries are on the rise, likely due to the game's athleticism standards consistently increasing and the game itself becoming more fast-paced. Pablo Torre finds out exposed nearly beyond a shadow of a doubt that Kawhi Leonard had a no-show job with aspiration in order for the Clippers to circumvent the salary cap. Plus, a day into the season, there was a mass gambling scandal in which former and current players were implicated for match fixing. Giannis Antetokounmpo seemed like he was going to force a trade for months, all for nothing to happen, and for him, a day after the trade deadline, to announce a partnership with the prediction market known as Kalshi. And yet the NBA has been nearly silent on these issues. Foul baiting is at an all-time high, and will certainly be under the microscope as the Thunder ready themselves for another title run. The moment of the regular season, Bam Adebayo's 83-point game was met by mass resistance. Most of all, so much of how the NBA has handled their issues this year just screams what the late starts and load management have all screamed for years: disrespect to the consumer. And beyond that, the people delivering the product to the consumer barely seem to care about the good of the sport. Inside the NBA is maybe the best sports show of all time, but if Chuck, Kenny, and Shaq can't name anyone on the Suns, why should you have to take the sport seriously in any way? It's unrealistic to just pop up here like Jerry Maguire and go full fewer clients, less money.
The answer was fewer clients, less money, more attention, caring for them, caring for ourselves.
And the reality is that is the answer to a lot of the problems that have hamstrung us as a society under capitalism, asking the rich to chill out on consolidation as if you're praying to a deity. It's messed up. In this case, I'm not going to plead with the NBA. I'm going to provide solutions. It's up to them to run with them or not. Here's how I would fix the NBA. Obviously, shorten the season. This is an idealistic, unrealistic, and therefore borderline stupid idea that I've basically stolen, let's just say borrowed, from the great Bill Simmons, and I'm sure many others. But this just has to happen. As the game evolves, the league has to evolve with it. When things got too physical, they banned hand checking. Well, things have gotten too fast, and we're not going to ban sprinting or deceleration or the Euro step. Protect the players, shorten the season. It's too long anyway, by the way. And March Madness is pretty much every year this welcome break we get from what is really the worst stretch of the NBA season, and also a real stealth tanking time where the teams that are on the fringe of the play-in decide, hey, we're not going to compete this year. Shortening the season will, at the very least, enhance competitiveness to some degree. It isn't a solution for tanking or even for the dog days of March that take place in the NBA, but less opportunity equals more desperation. It's human nature, so let it happen. The injury side of it is clear to me. A lot of these guys go on to play what amounts to extra seasons in the playoffs at a higher level of intensity. We do not want Achilles injuries to become just part of the game, the way Tommy John surgery is in baseball. Even if everyone could recover like Jason Tatum, it just isn't worth it. Adam Silver has made his name as the players' commissioner. Whether or not he did that intentionally is up for debate, but it's time to really put that to the test. I think most players would be in favor of going from 82 to 72 or so games. Clear holes in this argument are as follows. The NBA loses a ton of inventory not getting to broadcast more games. Teams lose inventory not selling as many tickets. Fans have fewer opportunities to go to games. I think this is one of those cases where you have to eat some money in the short term to create a better product in the long term, perhaps taking a step towards saving your league. Back something that can rival First Take. That's right, play both sides of the fence. When I look around the NBA media landscape, most outlets, whether they be new, independent, or legacy media, are making a name for themselves by talking about basketball from a love of the game perspective. All outlets except for ESPN, mainly First Take, the #1 daytime sports talk show. In an attempt to capitalize, Gil's Arena has kind of adopted their model of confrontation and hot takes, just in a more informal manner. But when we talk about the image problem the NBA has, the first thing that pops into my mind are visions of Stephen A. Smith in his little TV box talking about the Knicks or the Lakers. And to be fair, I'm not just lumping blame for sports media's issues on Stephen A. Smith entirely. We all know he wants to be number one, and this is what number one looks like today. We've learned a million times over, if you follow sports media at all, that First Take is very much a manufactured show. You have to have a hot take to get on the show, but also have to oppose Stephen A., who, as the face of the show, gets first dibs on the easy stuff. All this to say the NBA will continue to partner with ESPN after their recent TV deal, but NBC and Amazon have emerged as new partners. NBC was there a long time ago, but they're both clearly having a goal in mind of positive, loving, engaging basketball talk, and that's been great. But let's get things right in the daytime game. You can't touch First Take or McAfee. Fine. I simply won't allow you to touch the best show in sports television, first things first. So why don't we just send Club 520 everywhere? Jeff and Marcus Teague, DJ Behan, Barbie, give them all you've got. They've already expanded doing live shows and all that. They were at All-Star Weekend, I think. They're glowingly positive about the NBA, but with a healthy, self-aware sense of humor with an edge. It's time for them to really play under the lights, media-wise. If not them, there are a million other smart NBA podcasts out there that should be platformed by the league in some way, whether it's access to footage, research events, and I don't just mean a press pass to do a this or that video with Andrew Nemhart. Something that actually drives conversation and can get people to watch basketball for basketball's sake, rather than take's sake. And finally, the reason I'm sure anybody clicked on this video, here's a way to fix tanking. This is the hardest idea in the world to come up with, simply because everybody's trying to do it and nobody has done it.
This is the greatest advertising opportunity since the invention of cereal. We have 6 identical companies making 6 identical products. We can say anything we want.
It probably isn't possible without a total reimagination of the sport and league structure. People throw out the word relegation because they want to see the worst teams punished, etc. Brother, let me tell you about relegation. Relegation exists in European soccer because it runs all the way down from these top professional leagues all the way to your dad's Sunday league. It's entirely possible, although deeply, deeply unlikely, that a decade from now Manchester United could be playing in a meaningless game where they're not even being paid to play. Each team in Europe is a pillar of a small community that runs all the way down to the grassroots of the game. This just doesn't exist in the United States. These are teams that are bought by owners as a way to make profit. Yes, but to guarantee profits as well, hence the existence of salary caps. I can't even comprehend how many basketball programs would get demolished and uprooted and created for a relegation system to exist, once again because the leagues have to work all the way down to a non-professional level, or else your lower divisions end up being the ones tanking. The American sports system treats sports as mass entertainment, not community building, and that's why relegation can't work. Okay, that's my rant. My fix here is making it so that you can't pick in the top 4 in back-to-back drafts. 4 is kind of an arbitrary number here, and it's kind of on my mind because we've got a bit of a top 4 prospect in this year's NBA draft. I think this is a good way of saying, okay, you had your bad season, you got your reward, go try to do a little bit of winning this year. And if you get totally screwed by the lottery like the Washington Wizards or something, no sweat, you can retain your position. We've reached critical mass in the NBA where literally every team not in a play-in spot is trying to lose, meaning there doesn't have to be any kind of gray area with punishments. There isn't a sincere team in the top 10 this year, let alone top 4. Obviously, this doesn't stop tanking entirely, and nothing will with the way the sport is structured. Nothing remotely fair, at least. Teams can just tank every other year and be fine, but this would shake things up at least a little bit. Maybe you can raise the number to the top 6 or something, but I think it would guarantee you either tank for longer than you want or start trying to compete earlier. And that's the kind of decision you want to confront teams with. It would be so difficult, but it's hard not to look at these 3 things I've posited in this video and not think, wow, the NBA would be so much better if these were implemented. Comment below what you would do to fix things up in the association. Lucky for us, a time that needs very little change is coming up, the NBA playoffs. And for that, I cannot wait. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe. Subscribe to Backman Sports, where you can see me talking hoops all the time with my buddy Luke. And I'll see you next week.
There's no need for you to say you're sorry.